good Monday morning. It is March 25th, and welcome back from the weekend. I'm your host, Monica Adams, and you're tuned in to The Real Monica Adams Show. We are in the InVita Health and Wellness studios. I hope you had a great weekend. I was asking my team how theirs was. A lot of people say kind of chill. That's actually a good thing, right? The rush of the week. You look forward to the weekend. And if you continue rushing around, well, then we're not seeing that balance in life we always talk about. So sometimes it's good to just do a little recharge, just sit back on the couch or your chair and just relax. Yesterday, my husband was flipping around on the TV and he's like, Monica's just looking for some meditation music. And I was like, yes. So he went upstairs to watch TV and I just chilled. So if that's what you did, well, hopefully now you're coming back to the week and you're all recharged and ready to go. We're going to give you the weather. We're going to wrap up the news you can use. And then, of course, it's Monday. If you are new to the show, we do Ask the Doctor, Medical Monday, each and every Monday. And we have two incredible doctors. One is Dr. Sean Neary, who starts things with us from Mid-America Spine and Rehab. Now, we were on last week with him, and we want to kind of continue about the dangers of those herniated and bulging discs. And what about exercises that you can do to strengthen the back and strengthen the core to keep yourself from that pain and maybe from having the injury continue over and over and over again as you continue to re-injure yourself. Again, watch those warning signs. If you haven't seen Dr. Neary, we'll tell you a little bit more about Mid-America Spine and Rehab and why you should make your appointment very soon. Dr. Sara Franco, who you know and love, she is our title sponsor, and she will be with us in the 7:30 half hour. We're going to talk about a recent ABC special with Oprah Winfrey. Did you see it? It was having to do with weight loss drugs like Ozempic and Mounjaro. Now, she didn't say specifically which one she had been on, but if you've seen her transformation, she looks amazing. But she said enough with the shame and the, pointing finger game because you are on that. Some people obviously use it for the diabetic aspect, but a lot of recent news articles were talking about how the weight loss drugs, some of them were not able to be given to those who have diabetes because so many people were taking it from the weight loss standpoint. So we'll talk about all that. We'll break it all down, but we'll also talk about the obesity epidemic that we have, adults and childhood, the issue with regards to what it does to our economy. We'll talk about all that for you coming up in just a second. Let's go through, though, your weather, your sports, and the news you can use. First of all, what the weather? 64 for a high today. If you're walking out right now, it's actually near that. Some of you around 60, 59, 61. I was driving in this morning. It was 61 already. So we're going to stay there temperature-wise, but it is going to get significantly windy. So there's about a 13, 14 mile per hour wind right now. That's nothing compared to what you're going to see this afternoon. So two things you need to know. Be careful as you're driving later into the afternoon and during rush hour this evening for two reasons. The crazy wind gust of up to 40 to 45 miles per hour, and then the rain that is expected, a very high chance of rain as you go into the evening commute. So be aware of that. Those high profile vehicles, etc., both hands on the wheel. That should be the case all the time, but especially today. So 64 for a high, 47 for your low. Tomorrow, 54 and then 33 for a low. It's going to be cloudy, partly cloudy, and 53 as you go into Wednesday. Sunny, though, and 64 looks like the pick day of the week. That'll be 64 and then a low of 43 on Thursday. 74 and 55 on Fridays. We head into the weekend with partly cloudy skies. 76 then on Saturday, and a slight chance, at least for right now, but again, we are good 7 days out. 73 on Sunday. That is Easter Sunday with a slight chance of rain. So there's your what the weather. With regards to news, we've been following for the last several weeks the young girl that was at Hazelwood East that had her head smashed into the concrete from another teenager who, again, was taken into custody and charged. Kaylee Gain is the young girl that had been in ICU. She is now, according to her family, breathing on her own and out of ICU. And she's continuing to thank the community for their prayers. So again, continue to pray for her, but that is definitely some positive news. The unfortunate news came on Friday afternoon as we've been following the Mizzou student, 22-year-old Riley Strain, who was missing in Nashville. Unfortunately, his body was found in the Cumberland River. 4 on Friday afternoon. The family obviously very sad as they went into the press conference over the weekend, but thanking the community, thanking everyone for their thoughts and prayers, and thanking the police department and all first responders for their tireless efforts to find Riley Strain. Again, unfortunately, his body found on Friday afternoon. In sports, the Blues with a big game tonight at Enterprise Center. They are going to be hosting the Vegas Knights. Now, a win will give them 2 points. A loss, however, would put them 6 points back in the wild card race. So Blues, again, needing a big win tonight, and hopefully they'll be able to do that in regulation time so they get the 2 points. The Cards are in Arizona. They got a big game against the Cubs. This is an exhibition game, and they are expecting a pretty big crowd there. A lot of red, hopefully. And then, of course, opening day, not the home opener, but opening day in Los Angeles against the Dodgers later this week. If you're a basketball fan, the Sweet 16 is now set, but tell me how many of you have already had your brackets busted. That's what's been fun to hear the talk over the weekend. And then we have a couple of stories, one in entertainment news and one just a wild thing that happened. Let's start with Cameron Diaz. We just saw this about 10 or 15 minutes ago. Cameron Diaz and her husband, Benji Madden, a member of the band Good Charlotte, announced in an Instagram post on Saturday the arrival of their son, Cardinal Madden. And right away I was like, oh my gosh, wow, they do have a daughter. And they announced the same thing in an Instagram post back in 2020. But Cameron is 51 years old, and you know it's never an easy thing to have a child at a later part in life with regards to a woman. He's 45, she's 51, but Cameron, way to go. Again, so excited for you to do that, because there's a lot of women, I think. There's a woman actually I'm training right now, and she is in her early 40s, and she's like, oh, I'm going to be an old mom. I was like, it doesn't matter. The blessing that you have no matter when in life. So I'm glad the baby is healthy, and congratulations to the beautiful couple. And then this one, look at this picture. A dog, this is in South Jersey. Yeah, that dog's head is inside that wheel. The dog got its head stuck. Do not know how this happened, but it was the Frankenville Volunteer Fire Department and Police Department that responded to a service assignment to assist that 4-legged community member. Daisy found herself stuck in the rim of a tire at home. The initial efforts to free her with soap and water, that was unsuccessful. Special shout out to, again, the fire and the police department. Again, with the help of other first responders on scene, they used a plasma cutter to free Daisy from the rim. Daisy, fortunately, was not injured and is doing well. I hope that Daisy continues to be a mascot for the fire department. But that, in all my years of doing news, is one of the craziest animal stories I have ever seen. Poor Daisy. You should have seen, I didn't have a chance to get a video before we went on, but the video of her getting out of that tire, you want to say that a dog can't smile? That dog was smiling, had the biggest smile on his face, like, thank you. 11-month-old Daisy doing good today. There's your news, your sports, and your What the Weather. Now let's get into our Medical Monday. Ask the Doctor. We are going to start off with our spine. We're going to go deeper into those bulging and herniated discs. We'll also look at your comments and be sure to give you a little shout out. If you have any questions for our doctors, today's your day to ask the doctors. And we start with Dr. Sean Neary. He'll be in the blue chair when we return. InVita Health and Wellness, where you can feel your best both inside and out. InVita isn't your typical med spa. They're a multi-specialty medical spa and wellness center serving St. Louis and its surrounding areas. They have ketamine for mental health and pain, IV therapy, medical weight loss, and aesthetics treatments. As board-certified anesthesia providers, InVita can ensure that their advanced treatments are provided safely with minimal to no pain. So let InVita take care of you. Call 314-394-0950 to book an appointment, or online InVitaHealthAndWellness.com. Welcome back. It is 7:09, and I'm Monica Adams, your host. Again, good morning to several of you, and I know one of you were looking for the link to purchase tickets to see Ruby Lee April 20th in Arnold. Michelle did drop that in the comments for you. So good morning to all of you, Ron and Julie, and yes, let's go Blues, exactly. So many of you. If you have any questions for our doctors, now is your time. I think there were some questions last time that we will continue into, and we'll talk about those bulging and herniated discs. You do not want to let those go. But what are the exercises that you can do to help strengthen the core? That is a big part of it so that you don't keep re-injuring yourself. Let's welcome in Dr. Sean Neary from Mid-America Spine and Rehab.
Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Happy
Monday.
Happy Monday. How was the weekend?
Very good. Nice
Good.
and relaxing.
Good.
Was yours, or was it hectic?
No, it was relaxing.
Yes?
Went and saw Dune and then
Oh.
kind of couch rotted yesterday.
I think that was what a lot of people said,
Yeah,
which is a
it's-
good thing. You need to kind of reset.
It's exactly. Get ready for the week.
Yes.
Just don't make it too hectic.
No.
Yeah.
Last time you had a rush hour, you had an 8 o'clock patient.
I did.
You have one?
I'm good
Not
today.
Okay,
Yes, we
good.
can-
All
we
right.
can take
so
our
we
time.
we can kick back and
Yeah.
relax a little bit. So last week we talked about multiple aspects of injuries, and one of those was really eye-opening for a lot of people. I had a ton of people writing me going, I'm so glad that the two of you broke it down the way you did, because once they saw the lower level of how smashed that disc was, it was, well, that's kind of irreversible. And that's not a good thing. But it takes a lot to get to that point, right?
It does. It takes a while. There can be a traumatic injury that causes it, right away.
Okay.
But the majority of what we see, it takes years and years to get to that point. But once we start to feel those symptoms, we know something's wrong.
Right.
And the body says, get this fixed.
And if you didn't hear last time, we were talking about what the level of pain might look like before you ever get to that. So if someone has a bulging disc or a herniated disc, I know you said last time sometimes there are no signs.
Sometimes there are no signs. I can take an MRI of somebody who's having all of these symptoms, do an exact MRI. No, that person's not having any symptoms. So looking at x-rays and MRIs is not an indicator of pain.
Okay.
Those are, once we start to feel those symptoms, then we know that, there's something wrong.
So here was the question somebody asked me. They said, I'm so sorry we weren't able to be on live, but if I do have a bulging disc that had no signs and all of a sudden it shows up, should I be scared?
Concerned, not scared.
Okay.
That's where we come in. We can address those issues. Our primary goal is to avoid surgery.
Right.
And there are we'll talk about the exercises throughout the adjustments, the other therapies that we do that can help alleviate those symptoms. Now, last week we were talking about that jelly donut,
Yes.
that little piece coming out. And
the jelly squishing out.
The jelly squishing out, hitting that nerve. We can't get that back in.
Okay.
Okay. But what the body does, if it recognizes something that's abnormal in the body, there's these little things called like macrophages that come and eat that away. So like in an infection, we're trying to get rid of that infection. That bulging disc is a foreign body to us.
Right.
So it'll get rid of that, but it doesn't give us that space back between the vertebrae.
Okay.
And that's where the mobility comes in, strengthening around that segment can help alleviate.
So the bulging disc, concerned, not scared. And I hope you're watching this morning that woman that was asking that. And she's like, because she said that she was just told that she had a bulging disc. So then her question after that was, what should I not be doing when I'm told I had a bulging disc?
Depends on it depends neck or low back.
Okay.
In the low back, it's the more common one that we see is the low back.
the low back? Okay.
In the lumbar spine. Avoid bending and twisting. That is going to push that disc out even more.
Okay.
Now, lifting heavy is another big one that just puts more pressure on the discs, and the vertebrae, which is going to push
It's
that
compressing
out.
it?
It's compressing it,
Okay.
exactly. Pushing that jelly out a little bit further.
As you
the
were
best
all eating your
description.
breakfast
I know.
this
Good
morning.
morning with
If you're
with
just
your
tuning in,
donuts.
by the way, this is Dr. Sean Neary, Mid-America Spine and Rehab, and they are our newest sponsor within the last few weeks. And I have to tell you, I've had so many compliments, by the way. So many
Wonderful.
people have said, I really love him. He's so warm and so informative, and he's funny.
That's, I don't get that one often, but
there
I'll
you go.
take it.
See?
Yeah.
So I wanted to
There
pass
you
it
go.
along to you.
Thanks.
So a herniated disc and a bulging disc. Similar?
Similar. Bulging is the start. It just moves out. I don't know if yep, there we go. The bulging disc right there, kind of in the middle. That's the start of it coming out. The jelly hasn't come out yet. When we go into the herniated, that's where it's coming all the way out, pinching that nerve, causing these radiating symptoms, that numbness, that tingling, that weakness going down the arm or leg.
And again, we stressed this last time, the tingling is your warning sign that should not be dismissed.
You cannot dismiss the tingling. Typically, that does not go away without intervention.
And if you do dismiss it, then we could be talking about going all the way down to the bottom of that prior slide, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
When we ignore those signs, when we have a pinched nerve, I think one of the examples I use is a garden hose. So if you pinch the garden hose, you're not getting all that water coming out at the end.
Right.
So we're not getting all the signals down to the muscles and the sensations in our hands and feet. If we don't have the full nerve going down to the muscle, we get something called atrophy. And that's when the muscle basically starts to go away.
It's given up.
It's given up. We don't have the strength anymore. Can we reverse the atrophy? Sometimes. But we have to get on it early.
Right.
Yeah, if you wait too long, that's when we come into a major problem.
And so, people talk about inflammation, and you see that when you all do your x-rays, MRIs, things like that. You can see that and you can actually show it to us. But what does inflammation feel like in our bodies?
It'll feel like a warmth. If you've ever had like bronchitis, inflammation of the lungs, it's that burning sensation. And it can be anywhere. It can be in your elbow. So golfer's elbow, tennis elbow. You get this deep nagging pain, and all you want to do is keep rubbing it.
It's annoying.
It's annoying.
I've had it. And by the way, if you have that, the best thing to do is rest it.
Rest it.
Which is so hard
Oh,
for
my
a
gosh.
go person. I
We
get
wanna
it.
Do this. We
Yes.
want to stretch it, but the problem is these are ligaments and tendons, and they're white fibers, and when they stretch, they continue to stretch
Right.
until you rest it and let those things repair. So doing all this stretching during an acute injury, you're just doing more damage.
He's laughing because he can feel it. I've had this done. Okay, so let me just say, for those of you that have had that injury, it's frustrating because you're like, oh, maybe if I just lift a little lighter, it'll go away. And you're just like, oh my, it really hurts so bad. I had it right in here and it just kept burning and burning. But a lot of it was from doing a reverse from my biceps. And as I came down, I don't know what I did before. Because
Right.
is it something like that kind of an injury? Does it happen like that?
It can.
Yeah, because I was like, I don't think there was
Yeah.
anything that I did before, but I kept thinking it would go away. Let me tell you, folks, you have to rest. So take it from me, who did it the wrong way. It took a good 4, if not more, months
Yeah.
for it to really heal and for me to be able to say, okay, it's gone.
It takes a long time for those things. Another big one that we see is plantar fasciitis.
Yes, I was just going to bring that one
Yeah.
up next. Can you explain what that is?
Plantar fasciitis is, so we have this fascia. I'm not sure if everyone's familiar with it. I can bring a slide next week
Sure.
and we can talk about it more. It's kind of the casing of the muscles, and then it turns into ligaments. So the plantar fascia is on the bottom of the foot, goes from the calf into the Achilles to the bottom of the foot. And it is just this big, long ligament keeping the foot together for the most part. When we get plantar fasciitis, it's inflammation of that ligament. What do we want to do? We want to roll it out.
Yeah.
Oh, let's put a tennis
it on a
ball
tennis
in
ball.
there. Lacrosse ball. Oh, roll that thing out. And then it takes 4 or 5 months. A ligament injury shouldn't take that long to heal up. But if you let it rest, do a couple other preventative things, good arch in your shoes, it heals a lot faster. But rest is the biggest thing.
Rest. But the thing is, when someone has plantar fasciitis, it is one of the most painful things. I've had so many clients say, Monica, have you ever had it? I think I had like a beginning of it, and then unfortunately it went away. But they've had like full blown, and they just said it is the worst stabbing feeling.
Oh, you can't walk. First thing in the morning, you take that step down, you just want to fall to the ground.
But the inserts you're saying do help?
Inserts do help, and they can help prevent also. So making sure that when it's healthy, stretching it out.
Right.
Getting some mobility in there. When we're in this big acute inflammation stage, that's the last thing you want to do with it.
How about, so I knew a doctor probably 10, 15 years ago that used to use something, it was ultrasound therapy. Do they still do that?
Oh, yeah.
Or are there more advancements beyond that?
There are more advancements beyond that. Ultrasound is one of our go-tos right away, because we were talking about it, I think, on our first segment, the wavelengths and frequencies of all the therapies that we use. So ultrasound is one that we use, the infrared laser therapy, and then the cold laser therapy.
Okay.
All just different wavelengths and frequencies, vibrating those tissues to help them heal back up into the complete ligament.
Have you all had these? By the way, I'm going to go ahead and look at any questions or comments that you may have. If you've had these happen to you, are you willing to just relax and let it rest? I know it's hard, especially for all of us that are go-getters. We're into spring now, right? Everyone's looking at the calendar going, swimsuit season.
Right.
I've got to work out, Monica. What am I going to do? I've got to work out. But honestly, you'll be out of the game even longer, and I use that as a game of life, if you don't rest. You've got to rest. Let's see. Somebody said, having an MRI tomorrow for my spine due to a car accident. Yeah. you see a lot of car accident victims.
We do see a lot of car accidents.
Me. I've been trying to get in, but our schedules, it's not his.
We will
Our
mess
schedules
up.
are crazy. It really is to find out just how much damage has been done.
Sure.
And I don't recommend what's happened with me, which is that I listened to several other doctors that said, don't go to a chiropractor, don't do acupuncture, don't do all these things. They wanted to do all their treatments, but here we are 2.5 years later.
Yeah.
And again, I don't want to be fearful, but I'm just really wondering what that 2.5 years has done. So if you're just in a car accident, I want you to get in quickly.
The car accidents, that's an acute trauma. That's something that happened right now, causing all this pain.
Yeah.
If we don't get on that quickly, typically within the first week, then we're starting to do more damage to our bodies.
Right, and it just depends on the level of your injury. We were saying last week he was showing the spine and how it's supposed to have that natural curve here in your cervical area, and mine was straight up and down. I don't know if yours is as well, Stella. I wish you the best. I'm so sorry for the accident, but let's give the information, by the way, for those of you who have not been and haven't had a chance to call to set up your appointment yet. Mid-America Spine and Rehab, the location, the phone number, Zach will put up for you. There's the office hours. Again, Monday through Saturday, closed on Sunday. And then it's staywellstl.com. And the phone number is 314-966-8989. I know Michelle drops that in for you as well. There it is up on the screen. So you can set yours up. Richard says, while I was awaiting my 7th back surgery, that guy has been through a lot, I could not stretch my legs. That's right. They just would not stretch no matter how hard I tried. Why is that?
Interesting question. I'd want to know if he's talking about his quads, his hamstrings, the calves, anything. It sounds like there was some sort of nerve problem. The nerves going to the muscles were either hyperactive or hypo, either too much or too little. It sounds like he was having too much. The nerves tell the muscles what to do. Hey, go here, contract. If that signal is constantly being sent, your muscle's just contracting all the time, and it's going to be almost impossible to stretch it out.
Yeah, Richard, let us know. Go a little bit more in depth with the context on that one. Terry says, I recently found out that I have 3 slightly bulging discs in the neck and one that is slightly bigger from a recent auto accident. Recommended from the specialist is to exercise and continue chiropractic. I also had plantar fasciitis in both feet and had surgery on one foot. It took a year post-surgery to fully recover. The foot that I didn't have surgery on has healed itself. I believe wearing the proper shoes and walking better prevented me from a second surgery.
Wonderful. Yeah, a year is a long time to recover.
No kidding.
Because how much are we on our feet? Even when we're sitting here, we're on our feet.
Right.
Wow, that's a tough one.
No kidding. Richard went a little bit deeper. He said quads, hamstrings, and the 2 little muscles right in your groin.
Okay, so it sounds like he was having some nerve issue coming from the lumbar spine, because the way those nerves distribute, they come down and then they spread out. Some going to the front, some going to the back. So that sounds like it was coming from the lumbar spine.
Okay, it's 7:22. We're going to take a quick break. I want to transition into what can we do to strengthen. There are so many people that I have to tell you as a trainer, you all tell me that you have bad backs, and I say, well, how strong is your core? Okay, what are you doing for your core? Let's talk about some of those exercises and any other questions you may have for Dr. Sean Neary. Drop them in the comments right now. I'm looking at those for you. This is your show. Ask the doctor. You can do that when we return. We need women to lift women up.
Let's do that. Let's go. Being on Monica's show, it was like one of the best interviews I've ever had.
Monica's very real, and she really cares about people.
She's changing lives.
Changing lives.
I think this is just really what people want to see.
Giving back so much to the community, and I really appreciate it.
Today, Monica was extraordinarily real, not only with me, but with her viewers and her listeners.
Made the interview process like talking to a friend.
How are you doing? Good to see you. Haven't seen you in a few weeks.
Hey. You're close.
Monica. Whoa.
So go out in this world and be anything you want to be. But before you do that, first, be kind.
And welcome back. It is 7:24. It's Monday, one of our favorite days, any of us that are in the health and wellness field. This is a day that we're really going to take care of your body. You know, I'm very big on this and this and this, right? The mental, the spiritual, soulful, and the physicality of it all, completing that triangle of life. Well, how do you do that? You've got to take care of your body. And Dr. Sean Neary knows as well as I do that you play a very important role in this. What are you doing? Are you moving, right? We know the sentence that a body in motion stays in motion.
That's right.
Right? A body at rest stays at rest. So do we always want to do what we did this past weekend? Just kick back, relax, and chill? No, we got to move. We know in life we move. So how do we move better? Core strengthening. All right. We've got a couple of slides that we're going to show. One is my absolute favorite exercise to do to strengthen your core, and it is the plank. Do you know how to do a proper plank? That is the line you should be in, by the way. How many people do we see with their butts way in the air?
Or
they're
sagging all the way,
sagging. I was just going to
all the way
say,
down.
the big drop of the sag is so hard on your back. And I see it a lot as people try to hold longer and longer and longer, right?
That's the thing. Work up.
Yes.
Oh, do a 2-minute plank.
You can't get there yet.
Start with a 20-second plank.
Thank you.
Or start on your knees. That's a great way. If we can't do a full plank like that slide was showing in perfect form, because that's one of my biggest complaints too. Like, let's do a plank.
Right.
That butt way up in the air. It's like, get that down, because you're not working the core when that's up there. You're working so many other accessory muscles. But you have to work your way up to 2 minutes.
Well, so I have a question for you, because a lot of people, and I even have one of our viewers that had sent it to me, and she said, hey, Monica, what do you think about this community that you've formed over the last year doing a plank challenge? And so there's all these calendars that are out there on the internet to do the plank challenge. I have done them, by the way, with my clients, but they're doing them with me. Okay, that's important. He just brought up a good point that if you're not ready to go from 20 to 30 seconds or then bump to 45, a minute, all the way, by the way, it goes from day 1 to day 30, to 5 minutes, where you have maybe never done a plank before and you're trying to start in 1 month's time to get to a 5-minute plank. Can you do it? Maybe. I'm going to tell you what, it is difficult.
Yeah.
You think about the guy and the girl, though, that are the Guinness Book World Record holders, and they've held for 18 and 19 hours, and I'm just like, why?
Why? that was the first question that popped into me too. Why?
But hey, okay, that's just incredible. But I just think I'd like to see what they're doing now. Like, how much damage have they done? A 5-minute plank, I'm going to tell you right now, is hard. Most people are lucky if they can hold about a minute and a half. 2 minutes is actually very admirable for you. Most people are told to do a minute plank every day, right?
Every day, yeah. A minute, for some reason, is just that universal number.
Yes.
It's easy. Set that timer, 1 minute, go. But if you make it for 30 seconds and you're struggling, and this is something that I tell the teenage boys that come in as patients and they're starting to work out in the gym, I'm like, nobody cares about the weight that you're lifting. Focus on your form. As soon as you lose form, you're not doing the correct thing anymore. Now you're going to cause injury and walk up to them and hand them my card at the gym.
Dr. Neary, it's not just the teenage boys.
I know.
Right? I'm going to say men and women both, but a lot of guys in the gym have that mentality of we move heavy things.
Pick up everything.
Yes,
put down.
Watch me, man. And then they get done and they're like this. I see this, and I'm like, yeah, keep it up.
Keep it up. Yeah, I'm going to see you. I'm going to see you eventually.
Exactly.
Yeah, keep going.
Hey, you know what? You and I could work together on that.
Right? Yeah, let's do that.
That's how we keep ourselves in business. They'll come to me because they'll learn Power Perform. They'll go to him first, and he'll do a handoff after they've injured themselves. No, we really do. We want you to take care of yourself. So let's show the other slide that we have, kind of the anatomy of it all, of what the core looks like.
Yeah.
The outer core and the deep core. So break this down.
So everybody's heard of the core, but we don't really know what the core is. The core is something to help stabilize our lumbar spine. So the top is the diaphragm. The diaphragm is a muscle that goes across our chest that helps us breathe. On the bottom is our pelvic floor. In the back, we have our erector spinae muscles. They focused on the multifidus, but there's several other muscles back there. And then the front and the sides are our abdominal muscles. This is where we need to focus a lot of our attention, because when we go up into the neck is surrounded by muscles, front, side, back. We have support. In the thoracic spine, we have these ribs that support the vertebrae, the disc, all those surrounding tissues. But down there in the lumbar spine, the main part that gives us the support is just back on the erector spinae, the back muscles, basically. We don't have a lot of support in the front, because what's in there is our organs, our guts, basically. Those don't give us support. So when we strengthen the core, what we're doing is we're giving those abdominal muscles, the diaphragm, the pelvic floor, we're strengthening those to keep the organs kind of where they are, putting pressure back up against the vertebrae that gives us that support so we don't move into those bulging discs and lower back pain.
And so I have to tell you, when you hold the plank, we looked into this many years back, and 53 muscles are worked simply by keeping yourself in that gorgeous straight line that we showed you in that plank. Imagine that. And so a lot of people are like, oh, I thought it was just for my stomach. No, I mean, think about what it takes to keep yourself in that position. I mean, you can see your glutes would work, the high part of your hamstrings, your quads, that entire, I always call it more of the corset, right? The corset region, your internal, your external obliques, into that spine, into your front part. And then, yes, right around the wrapping area where he talked about the diaphragm. So it's into that kind of rib cage area, the high part. And then the front part of your shoulders are obviously going to get some, but the problem is too many people force themselves forward in a plank. Their head and their shoulders are way over in line with their wrist, even into their hands. And they're wondering why their back's hurting or why it's hurting so much in their neck. They also do this. Well, come back to me on camera if you can, Zach. They do this, and they're doing this. And they're looking around, right? They're looking. I'm like, stop, put your eyes down.
Look down. Look down. I know everybody. Is everybody watching me? But
No.
keep your face.
Yes, they're watching how
down.
bad your form is.
I am.
Stop it.
Face down.
Yes.
Make sure we're not too far forward or even too far back, because that's going to put more pressure on our elbows
Right.
and shoulders. Then we have an additional issue that we're going to focus on.
But the plank, he
Yeah.
just said it, I just said it. Both of us absolutely love the plank. And so my favorite thing to do is to get up in the morning. Look at an animal, by the way. When an animal gets up, every single time it's laying down and resting, what does it do? Stretches, right? They do that little cat stretch. There's the cat-cow stretch that we do in yoga. Dogs do the beautiful downward and upward dog. And don't you look at them at some time and go, God, that's pretty.
That looks
I
so
wish I
good.
could do that.
Look at that form. It's perfect.
Exactly. And they do it all the time. They are so smart. We need to take that cue from them. So they stretch. They might go in, get some water. They're hydrating themselves.
Right.
And then exercise. They run around. So what should we do? Stretch, drink some water, get into a plank. That kind of pattern, watch what happens to the longevity of your health.
Absolutely. First thing, 20 minutes. I was reading something. It's like 20-20-20 rule for the first hour of your day. The first 20 of that is to move, get up, stretch, and then something mental, and then something for work.
Right.
But it focused on the first 20 minutes is move, stretch, do some yoga. Just don't get out of bed and
Jump
go
up.
sit down.
Well, it's also don't jump out of bed, right?
Don't
You've
jump out
been
of bed.
resting all night. Maybe you've gotten 6. Hopefully, you've gotten around 7 or 8 hours of sleep, and then the alarm goes off. And I'm sure you see it a lot of the injuries you probably see. If people are like, "I didn't do anything. What'd you do?" And you try to break it down. Oh, I jumped out of bed.
Jumped out of bed, or I slept wrong. Like, you may have slept wrong, but something was leading up to you
Right.
sleeping wrong.
Right.
And then getting out of bed too quick
Yes.
and turn your head really fast.
Yes.
Your muscles aren't ready.
Yep.
You have to ease into these things.
If we can go back before we wrap up, I've got a couple questions that have come in. But if we can go back to that slide of the anatomy, you were showing the transversus abdominis.
Right.
Can you talk about the difference between that and the rectus?
It's basically where they start and finish. The rectus is this 6-pack that everybody
an
wants.
8-pack.
And it is an 8-pack. Well done, Albacore.
Right?
Yeah.
My
We're all
goodness, that looks
jealous.
good.
The transverse, the obliques, there's it's more the orientation of the fibers that come around from the side and give us support. The front ones, we work those out typically with doing a plank.
Yes.
That's where you feel it, but you don't feel these. They're smaller. The transverse ones. You don't feel them being strained as much.
You want to get deep into those, though. A lot of people are like, "Oh, and please stop doing ad nauseum. You're doing your I'm not a huge fan, by the way, anyway, of a full-on sit-up, just because of the way the people do it. I know, like if you look at the military or you look at police officers and you look at the tests that they have to do, they do the full, but I mean, they wrench their back up and back and forth. I'm bigger on a plank. I'm bigger on doing the movement where I kind of call it an accordion crunch, where you're bringing your legs, your knees coming in towards, I say it's like I Dream of Jeannie. So I'll go like this. And lying down, by the way, you're lying down if you can. Again, always, by the way, as we're talking about this, check with your physician to make sure you can do a workout. But lying down flat, and I have them put in their elbows like this, and then their knees are bent, and they come together, and the elbows touch the knees.
Yes.
I call it an accordion crunch. That way you have both equal sides moving together. Some of you may not be able to do it, and that's fine. That's why you hire a good trainer that can take you to that.
Yes.
It's just us trying to get you moving. That's the important part. Let's see. Stretch while listening to Monica. Exactly.
Good job.
Drink a glass of water and then coffee. Coffee for you, not me. I think I'm doing it wrong. I sit around and have coffee and watch Monica for the first hour I'm up. Then I do my stretches and get ready for my day. You're taking in your positivity. It's okay.
That mental part.
Yes.
Just flipping those 20 minutes. That's all she's doing.
I had plantar fasciitis while in the military. Arch support and combat boots helped, but that ultrasound therapy was key. There you go. Worked within a few weeks, completely relieved the pain. Most veterans have back injuries and disc issues from the nature of our work. Micro acupuncture patches, battlefield acupuncture in the ear helped with the pain for a while.
The micro patches, I'm not too familiar with that one, but a lot of auricular therapy with acupuncture, very beneficial.
Oh,
and we do that in our office also.
I love that. And Stephanie said we do the plank in the pool, part of my healthy joints class. Yeah, that's the thing, by the way. If you have a physician that says, I don't want you to do this or this, but get in, water therapy is incredible.
Oh, yes. That's one of my first recommendations is I want to go to the gym, but I can't work out. It hurts after I work out. And I say, all right, if we're working out and there's pain, you're stopping.
Right.
My first suggestion is, water therapy. Get in there. Aqua aerobics is fantastic. Taking the weight off so we're more buoyant.
Yes.
You can do more mobility issues and you can do more mobility activities.
And can we stress that although a lot of you think of water aerobics and you think it's just your grandma and grandpa doing those, no, water aerobics. I used to do it actually when I was in college. I was like overdoing things. I was just obsessed, but I was doing water aerobics. I was doing a bodybuilding class, and then I would go down and work out on my own. Yeah. But I loved that, and it was like, oh, this is really great cardio. I wish I would have had one of the watches back then to see how many calories we were burning, because they go underwater now, so you're not dunking down, but they do allow you to go through the water with those watches, see how many calories you're burning, and it all depends on everything that we do in life is how much you're putting into it.
Absolutely. And the other thing is there's levels of water therapy. Yeah, there is. Everyone, you took the words away. We think of our grandmas in there moving nice and slow. Oh, let's go from side to side. There are some pretty advanced
Yes, there are. I've done them.
Classes.
I love them. And I'm serious when I say this. I really do. From a chiropractic standpoint and adjustments, is it okay to still treat adjustments for the bulging discs in the neck? If so, do you modify the adjustment in that area? Can the adjust make the bulging disc worse?
Potentially, it can make it worse at the beginning in terms of a symptomatic, what they're feeling. Now, I will modify the adjustment. It also depends on how bad the bulge or herniation is. Yeah. If sometimes we're beyond the point, but we always try the adjustments in our therapies first. Sometimes we just go, hey, we need to go do something else. We start with, we'll send out for a steroid shot. Let's see if that helps, because when that bulging disc is too much, we have so much inflammation, the body locks up and we can't do an adjustment.
Right.
And I'm not going to force myself, through that inflammation to get that vertebrae to move. We have alternatives. Yes.
Great questions, everybody. Really Remember to bring your questions each and every week. If you have some and you're not able to be on live next Monday morning, feel free, just like a couple of you did, to email me, info@TheRealMonicaAdams.com. I'll get those to Dr. Neary in advance, or you can always, again, the thing I love about him and everybody that we bring on, they are humble enough to say, I don't know that one. I will look into that, and I'll come from that question into next week. Is there anything that we didn't answer from last week?
I think Linda had a question about too much calcium in the blood, and does that cause osteoporosis? A cause and effect issue? No. But what's going on if you have too much calcium in your blood, it's hypercalcemia. Your bones are not absorbing that calcium like it's supposed to, so it's just staying out in the blood. Okay. So if the bones aren't absorbing, then we're at risk for osteoporosis. Okay. One of my biggest recommendations is vitamin D.
Vitamin D? Yep.
Vitamin D that helps absorb the calcium into the bone.
And every single doctor that we have had on has said vitamin D, from him to Dr. Willie to Dr. Franco. Vitamin D. And to me, I'm going to give myself a doctorate today. Dr. Quentin. I'm huge on vitamin D. And you need to know, by the way, if you're deficient in it, you can find that out from InVita Health and Wellness. They'll do your labs for you. Couple things. What do you think about spinal decompression?
Love it.
Love it.
Especially for bulging discs.
Okay.
Spinal decompression is, we're opening up. We talked about the inversion table last week.
Right.
Opening up those spaces. This spinal decompression is a mechanical way of doing that. So
Okay.
yeah, it's helping open up the vertebrae and giving that nerve room to breathe or conduct.
Okay. Let's see. Diane, so how long is it safe to get knee shots?
Tough question.
Did you stump the doctor?
What's happening if you're continuously getting these shots, what that's doing is masking the symptoms. There's still a problem in there. So when we mask the symptoms, especially in our knee, we're going to do more activities that's causing damage, like more damage to that spot. So then the shot wears off, like, oh, I need another shot, so it feels better. Then I can do my activities. Then the pain comes back. Let's do another shot. So the more we do, the more damage we're doing to that joint.
Okay. And then, all right, Terry just said, thank you, Dr. Neary. That's exactly what my ortho spine specialist said. Exercise, chiropractic, and possibly steroid injections may help heal. All right, we're going to wrap up, but I have a patient who is so frustrated with where she is and the way her body is breaking down. I'd like to actually use her as an example for some of you that may be going through a lot of the same things. She is exhausted going to sports medicine doctors, to physical therapy, and she really is just so emotional, so tearful that she feels like she is just she has to give up. And I literally wrote her last night and I said, I'd like to maybe have you see Dr. Neary. I mean, because again, it's always use multiple doctors that are in your corner. I'm a very big proponent of you being an advocate, but also saying maybe there's a person that can help and do something that hasn't been done yet. So think about that. Richard just say, I bought an inverter. I like it much better than the decompression therapy.
Okay.
Yep. And a lot of people are saying, thanks, great information. Yes,
Wonderful.
we love him, and he'll be back with us next Monday. Dr. Sean Neary, if you are struggling right now, I want you to reach out. We'll put it up on the screen again. It's 314-966-8989, and the website is staywellstl.com. I look forward for you to go to him, and then let me know just how much better you feel afterwards.
Wonderful.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. My pleasure.
Dr. Neary, we go from Dr. Neary to Dr. Sara Franco. She is here with us from InVita Health and Wellness, and there was a recent special on ABC from Oprah Winfrey, and it's all about Ozempic, Mounjaro, the weight loss. A lot of people are shaming those that are using it to drop significant weight. Why are we shaming them when there's such a strain on our economy and the healthcare system due to adult and childhood obesity? All of that was discussed. We'll see what she has to say about that special. She'll be in the blue chair when we return.
You are truly an incredible human being, and just what you're doing is so inspiring. This was really a cathartic experience for me. So I appreciate you, love you. It's been an honor to not only just be here on set with you, but just to sit in your presence. You inspire everyone around you, from your motivational speaking to your podcast here, to just being the human that you are.
It's just such a joy to be able to see you at this point in your career. Really following your passion, fulfilling your dreams, and encouraging other people to do the same. I feel that I've been missing out. I believe God places people like you in people's lives for a reason. You have definitely been a God wing for me.
Well, welcome back, 7:43. You are all very, very active today. I'm loving these questions. Very informative information in our first half hour. Again, taking care of the body. Thank you again for tuning in. It's the Real Monica Adams Show, and our second half hour is with Dr. Sara Franco. I know you love her. She's been with us for the last year, talking about some really incredible topics. This one is top of mind for a lot of you. Maybe you had a chance to see this. Oprah Winfrey recently did an ABC special, and now it is streaming on Hulu in case you missed it. It has to do with the shame game about the weight loss drugs. Now, she did not come out in that special and say specifically which she had taken, Ozempic, Mounjaro, etc. Let's break it all down for those of you that are like, what are those? Maybe you don't know. Let's break that down first, and then let's see what Dr. Sara Franco thinks about that special. And as we move forward, one of the things that I have mentioned many, many months ago was the adult and the childhood obesity epidemic. It is an epidemic, and actually it is, for some, you haven't even maybe never looked at it this way, that it is an addiction with different types of food, but it's also the blame and the shame that goes with it. So let's discuss that. First of all, let's welcome her. Dr. Franco, thanks for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I want to thank Jamie also. Well, we want to thank Jamie for many reasons. She introduced us a year ago, and she was the one that said, there is this special that's coming out, and I'm really interested in what Oprah has to say. Can we just say this? There are so many celebrities right now that when they lose a significant amount of weight, immediately it is, oh, well, they're using that weight loss drug, whatever that weight loss drug is. Well, let's first stress there's many out there, aren't there? And every time I turn around, there's another one.
There are, and what a lot of the stigma, goes around is the fact that this was a diabetic drug, and then they found out, and it's been out since 2017. So, for those arguments that are, we don't know what's going to happen with this drug in a couple years. I mean, it's been out now for 8 years. So it's been out there for a while. But there's really two main drugs: Ozempic or semaglutide, which is the parent drug in that formulation, or Mounjaro or tirzepatide, which is the parent drug in that formulation. So everything else is kind of they've rebranded it for weight loss now. So you have Ribellus, you have the name escapes me now for the new one, Zepbound for Mounjaro. So they're all the same parent drug, though.
So if someone were to come to you, and I know a lot of people do, and they are like, oh, well, maybe this is what's been missing for me, how do you determine which they use?
So really, semaglutide is where we started with this medication whenever we were using this for weight loss. So generally, if they're not having any kind of issue with sugar, it's more of just that hormonal component, then we tend to steer them towards semaglutide. Okay. If they are pre-diabetic or diabetic, then tirzepatide does, and Mounjaro does contain another active peptide, GIP, which is glucose inhibitory peptide. So that would probably be the drug of choice that we would suggest for them.
Okay, so this special that Oprah did, and I don't know how many of you had a chance to see it. If you did, I'd love to see what you want to weigh in on it. I'll be keeping an eye on the comments. But a lot of it had to do with her entire career. She was fat shamed. Mm-hmm. So it's really the whole bullying aspect of life that I always am talking about. Like, it happens to young kids all the way up, and it never stops. Here she was her entire career, and almost if you turned on any kind of nighttime talk show, it was always something about her weight. Mm-hmm. Then here she is. I mean, let's go way back, though. She did a marathon. I remember that. I remember her training for that. I was so happy for her. She put the weight back on. She's always tried different things. She also used to come out and talk about how much she loved bread, right? Then she got behind Weight Watchers, right?
Right. No, I think it was Weight Watchers.
So I think she bought that company.
Probably.
Because she can.
Because she owns everything.
Exactly. But then she comes and you've all been following these videos of her in magazines, and then you're like, holy cow, she looks incredible. All I kept thinking was, good for her. Right. Instead of what the world did was, oh, she's probably on the weight loss drug. And so good for her, I'm going to say, for coming out with the special to talk about the shaming of it all. Why are so many people shamed for doing this?
Yeah, because I think everybody just, well, not everyone, but I think what goes along with that is just folks thinking that you're just cheating. This is just, you're just taking this medication. It's making you lose all of this weight. And I mean, I'll be the first to admit you are going to lose you can lose a tremendous amount of weight with this medication. But it's just like any other kind of diet, if you will. If you do not make those lifestyle changes, you will turn around and you'll put that weight back on. So I think what we see at the clinic is this is just a motivation factor for folks. We have women and men come in, and we hear the same story over and over. I've tried everything. I go to the gym 5 days a week. I'm eating correct. Nothing is helping. At that point, it is a hormonal component. As we get older, things just start to break down, cycles, hormonal control, balance, all breaks down in our body. This is, calling this cheating would be equivalent to telling somebody who is diabetic that if you just exercise more, your sugar would go down. It doesn't work that way anymore. Your body just isn't working the way it used to. So if it is that hormonal component, so if you are able to get a jump start on that, what we see is folks get motivated. It's the same 10 pounds they've been trying to lose over and over and over and over and over again, or they lose it and then they put it back on, and they lose it and they put it back on. Now they lose it and it stays off, and maybe they lose 12 pounds instead of that 10 pounds. Right. And then they feel like this work that they're putting in, this effort that they're putting in every single morning, every single night, is actually getting them somewhere. And now maybe they can get to 15 pounds. Maybe they could lose that 20 pounds that they need to. Then their blood pressure goes down. Then their cholesterol gets better. Then their glycemic control gets better. And we just see all of these processes just start working better.
And that's the level of what I appreciated about the special, because it had to do with the strain on our healthcare system. Right. She just went through all those levels. If you think of adults, and don't even get me started on the childhood obesity epidemic that we have, because that is where they're not the ones buying the food. Okay. So why are they so overweight? There's also a genetic issue, right? So one of the things that I thought was the biggest aha moment was how many people who are overweight, they fall into an overweight or an overfat or an obese population. How many of them are told you're lazy and you have no willpower? That was the biggest, and I listened to that and thought, yes. And for someone who truly cares about every person I've ever trained, I know that you're trying. And I've seen the tears. There are people that have so much shame about them because they're like, I really am trying. But if someone is overweight and someone else who is an athlete, or they're this big, they look at them and they shame them into saying, you're lazy, you have no willpower. You understand, you're actually setting them back even more. So if they have, you don't even know. I know a woman forever ago, doesn't matter the gym she was in, but she was a trainer, and she would have, by aesthetically, been what they would say was fat. But the woman was in incredible cardiovascular shape. Right. There were people who were amazing athletes that were like, I can barely take her class. She had 40 to 45 people in that class. She's like, this is my genes. So address that.
So, there's systems, genes, genetics, everything that are in your body that you cannot overcome by yourself. That's why we have medications that are out there. So, if it is a genetic predisposition, if it is a hormonal imbalance, then those things have to be, you can't correct your genes, but those are all things that have to be addressed in order to be successful in this realm.
Let me look at some of the comments here. Lisa just said, good morning, and thank you for such a great conversation. I don't know if you had a chance to see the special. Thank you for bringing these topics up. I've had clients use that drug for weight loss. I feel for the people who cannot get the medicine they need for diabetes, driving up the cost. Okay, can we address that? Because that came out in the news a couple weeks ago of people saying those that need it for diabetes are not able to get it. Is that still the case?
It is still the case. And unfortunately, we use the compounded version. So, and that's probably whole other discussion on another day. But, it's a supply and demand thing. And it goes back to the insurances. So I think, not that I'm a conspiracist, or, conspiracy theory, but I think, AstraZeneca, Eli Lilly, I think they kind of got in over their head. They have a very good drug. They marketed it for this. And then, then they encourage insurances to approve it for patients that were wanting to lose weight. Then they rebranded it and had it available, as Wegovy now instead of Ozempic, and then insurances stopped paying for it. So, I know my dad, which is the reason that I got into it in the first place. His insurance paid for it for the first 3 months, and it was actually the one thing that would keep his blood sugar under control. Then all of a sudden, his insurance wouldn't pay for it anymore. So, so there's the side of it where it's not available anymore for patients. Then there's the other side that that insurances are stopping paying for it. I mean, now you have to have like 3 comorbidities, and your doctor has to write a letter, and you have to call in and get prior approval and things like that. And it's just those are all things that physicians do not have time to do, that their staff doesn't have time to do. So I mean, it is unfortunate for people that aren't able to get it, but by the same token, if there's other means of getting that medication that are out there, you just have to make that effort.
Okay, if you have a question, by the way, I'm looking at the comments. Crystal just said, I really cannot understand the shame game with this. Oprah's lost weight and is still getting shamed. It's 100% bullying on the other end of the spectrum. It is. I mean, she can't win here. So that's literally what she said. She goes, I can't win. I'm what you consider to be fat during my career. I dropped the weight, and then you're still going off on me. What was the biggest thing that you took away from it?
Well, I just really appreciated the fact that she, address the shame aspect of it, because I hear from so many of the opposing side that this is cheating, that this could be bad for you, that this isn't a healthy way to lose weight, that you're losing lean muscle. Well, those things are all true if you aren't doing the things that, when you come in for a consultation that we tell you that you need to do. You still need to work out. You still need to increase your water intake. You need to prioritize protein. Those are all things. You don't starve yourself. Right. I have it's so funny, Jamie was like, why are there little mountains drawn everywhere? I have this little schematic that I draw for patients to show them that, eating 3 meals a day is a healthy direction, but why don't you try breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and a snack in between, and keep your metabolism going at the same time? And then instead of eating, this much food that you ate at breakfast, lunch, and dinner, now you eat this much food because you have just eaten a few hours ago. There's just different ways that you can go about doing things in a healthy way, and I thought she did a very good job of outlining that.
Absolutely. And again, my biggest takeaway was stopping the bullying, talking about the fact that why aren't you happy for her that she's now doing this, and happy for everybody because she had guests on as well, but it's also the direction of where she's moving. She said, I've always tried. My genetics were working against me. And she's like, I feel for anybody else that was in that same court, that genes are a big factor. I mean, I remember getting into training 26 years ago, and all the things that we were taught when I was doing my studies were all these risk factors. One is your age. Mm-hmm. The other is your genetic. Are you predisposed because of whatever is within you? So I look at my family, and this is, ready for it? I'm going to go here because I told you I'll always be real. My family on both sides have diabetes. They have cancer. I mean, it runs rampant through our family. Then we get to an age, so it's what I just broke down. So I went to Dr. Sara and I said, gosh, hormones are crazy when you get to a certain age, right? When I was 45, 47, my entire life, I always stayed the exact same weight, no matter what I did. I mean, maybe when I was dancing, I may have gotten even leaner, but it was still within like a 5-pound range. Sure. All women, listen to this, men as well, though, as she said. So you get to a point, you're 45, 50, and I just saw some ladies say the same thing. And so I went to her, had my labs done, which is my biggest thing that I highly recommend that you do. Then we came back and I said, it's really, really crazy though, because from a hormonal standpoint, no matter how incredible I eat, and you all know that I walk the walk and talk the talk. She understands that. She knows that. Yes. I mean, that would be in the consultation. Yeah. I drink my water constantly. My choice is when I'm at a restaurant with somebody or, oh, look at this fish, right? It's my mindset just knows to eat healthy. No matter what I did though, I kept seeing weight go on. Now, a lot of people are like, oh, shut up, Monica, you don't get it. And I'm like, okay, but that's still kind of a matter of my firsthand opinion is I don't feel like myself, right? We all know that. So she came back and said, well, do you have diabetes in your family? I'm like, yes, like crazy. And I don't want that. So my big thing about this special was, why, if you have that and you are predisposed from a genetic standpoint, would you not want to try to avert that? Right. So when I looked at it, we looked at my A1C, we looked at everything, and it was, where am I? I'm looking at my aunts, looking at my grandma. My mom's in phenomenal shape. She got lucky. She got the lucky gene. But I could go towards my dad's side. So I came back and said, would this be good for me? And your answer was?
I think it would.
And guess what, folks? I did it. I've done it. So there's your breaking news. And I've lost 12 pounds, Sara.
Right.
12 pounds. Okay, you want to take this and make it into a reel? Go ahead. I have done it. I have very dear friends that have done it. And here's what has happened. And before the Oprah show, they all came to me and said, I didn't want to tell you. And I said, oh my God, you're shaming yourself already, or you're fearful already. I have 2 dear friends that have done it and have said, I didn't do it. I didn't tell you, Monica, because I thought you might shame me. And I said, I won't shame anyone, including, I don't want any of you to shame me. And if you do, don't be in my life, because I want to make sure that I'm not going to get diabetes. And I am predisposed to that. I very easily could go that. But one of the things that I'm going to say from doing it is, yes, you absolutely lose your appetite, or you eat a little bit and you're like, I'm full. So you have to make sure that you're eating. You have to make sure that you're drinking your water.
You do.
Those are the biggest, and I wanted to give it to you firsthand.
No,
so there you go, real.
And let me and when you say that, let me just dispel some myths out there, because I go through this, and we do this consultation with patients, and then they start to lose weight, and then they get excited, and then they kind of plateau off, and then they start to get discouraged, and it this can be an expensive way. So we charge $300 per month for semaglutide, and that includes a metabolism booster that has some amino acids and vitamins and things like that. That sometimes when your appetite does kind of slow down a little bit, then those kind of help with the nutritional side of things. But there are varying levels of appetite suppression. So we are not looking for you to not want to eat. Right. That is not healthy. It's not healthy. It's not good for your body. It's not good for your brain. It's not good for your heart. We want you to eat, but we don't want you to eat in excess. So what we're looking for is for you to feel fuller faster, not want to eat at all. And then, the side effects that go along with it, nausea, vomiting, things like that. I have patients every day that are like, well, my girlfriend's taking this at another place and she throws up all the time. I'm like, okay, we could make that happen for you if you want. Generally not what people come in looking for, but we try to do it right. So we increase the dosage slowly. If you're losing weight at that dosage, there's no reason to increase the dosage. There's not. You're going to increase your side effects. You're not going to increase your weight loss. Your body's using that medication the way it's supposed to. When you're nauseous, it's coming from 2 things. You're eating too much. You're eating too little. You eat too little, your blood sugar starts to drop. Now, we're not talking hypoglycemia where it's dangerous, but you don't feel good. You need to get some nutrition in there. The other side of things is you're eating too much. We all, well, our generation anyway, grew up clean plate club. If you put food on your plate, then you eat it.
And there are starving kids in Africa
that would eat that. The starving kids in Africa, yes. But, and I've taken the medication myself.
You lost how much?
I've lost 81 pounds.
Woo, again.
And just for those out there that say, well, you just turn around and you put the weight back on. I lost 64 pounds when I was taking the medication, and I've lost 17 pounds since I've been off of it.
There you go.
Just because I completely changed my dietary habits, And I can still enjoy food. I had a couple Thin Mints, but instead of eating the entire sleeve of Thin Mints, which is what I used to do, now I eat like 2 Thin Mints and I'm satisfied. But you have to, I ate on this plate, and now I eat on the smaller plate. I know whenever we go out to dinner, I can't get an appetizer and a salad and my main meal, or I'm not going to eat all of that food. So you have to make these conscious decisions, and just realize that it's a process. If you're losing 5, 6, 7 pounds a week, the first week, okay, it's probably some water weight, and maybe you just had terrible eating habits, and now you're just a little bit better, but it's probably muscle that you're losing. It is not great. I mean, it's great, when you're like, oh my gosh, I've lost 30 pounds this month. That is terrible for your body.
And say that again, one more time. It's terrible for your body. All of you that are looking to lose 5 to 7 pounds a week and keep that's not what any doctor or anybody in the healthcare field wants you to do. In fact, every doctor I have ever respected has said, maybe 1 to 2, maybe 3 pounds a week. And that will stay off, by the way. You do that drastic drop and you try to maintain that when you've had your bad habits and you haven't addressed the mental side of it, which again, Oprah talked about. The mental game is absolutely huge because it's teaching you that. So you and I started this, I don't even know how long, but it's been like, it would be like a half pound. My mind though, as a trainer was like, oh, okay, good. So something's finally moving after having trouble for the last several years. So you have to go to her and not get on the scale and go, ugh, only a half pound? That's positive. You have lost weight. And then they'll figure out, okay, is it still been a half? Maybe we can go up a little bit. But I saw your reel over the last few days, and I was so happy that you said, just because you think you're going to go up in the dosage does not mean that you're going to lose more weight. You might have more of the side effects.
Correct. And, eventually you're going to, if you have 5 or 7 pounds to lose, then you don't have to worry about kind of maxing out the benefit of this drug. If you have 30, 40 pounds to lose, it's going to be a slow process.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Right.
And if you shoot up there and you're at 2.4 milligrams, which at this point in time is the maximum dose of semaglutide, then you have nowhere to go from there.
Right.
And eventually your body is going to get used to it. I mean, think about like any other medication you take. If you're prescribed pain medication, you take that first pill that first time and you're like, whoa, you get a little dysphoric and get sleepy. Well, by the time you've taken it for 2 or 3 days, it's not having that same effect on you anymore. That's the same exact way that this medication works. So if you ramp it up and you get to that maximum dose, you've left yourself nowhere to go.
Right.
And you're still not going to lose weight any faster. It's very much going to slow down. But another thing to keep in mind, and Jamie and I went round and round about this because it was semantics. I understand a pound of muscle, a pound of fat, a pound is a pound is a pound, right? But if you overall your body lose a pound of muscle, or you lose a pound of fat, we would love to think that fat weighs so much. I mean, if you had a pound of each, you're going to have this much fat and like this much, this much muscle. When I was doing anesthesia in plastics, we would have these patients come in for liposuction and we would have these canisters, and sorry if I'm grossing anybody out, full of fat that they would suck out. And I'm like, oh my gosh, these people are going to leave here like 50 pounds lighter. And they'd be like 6 pounds. Fat is so dense, so dense, it doesn't weigh anything. So if you have not changed anything, you're still eating the same, you're still working out, and you lose a pound of fat, that could be an entire size. You could have gone from a 14 to a 12 now. Right. And that was what happened with me. After I had my triplets in 2018, not that I worked out every single day, but I have 6 kids. We're moving all the time. And I told my husband, and I tried everything. I tried HCG. You admitted to, or not admitted to, but kind of.
I had a nurse back then, but that
was really the thing,
but that really went against every fiber of my being. If something feels wrong to you, don't do it. She challenged me on the air, and I'm like, why would I do this? And I lost 14 pounds in 17 days.
Right.
All of that was happening, I was like. And I was this big. I mean, I just didn't like the way it looked. Why wouldn't you? That happens way too fast. This has been, okay, so this is what has gone. And keep in mind, yes, a lot of you might write in, and I would love to see the comments later. I didn't bring them on, please. I will filter through all of those, and I'll comment to you. But I have my entire life since I was a little girl worked out. I've been an athlete. So yes, I work out. You might go, like, really, Monica, get over it. I'm telling you, though, if your body feels sluggish, and I could just feel like from a hormonal standpoint, something was wrong. So I gave it over to a person that I respected and said, well, how would I feel? And she's like, I don't know, you might have a little bit more energy or a little sluggish. No, I hadn't been changing much with regards to what I was wearing, but now I feel so much better about myself.
Right.
I do have crazy energy, always have, but this is how I'm used to looking. So what happened? My hormones. And so whether you're a man or a woman, you need to know what the numbers are and understand that. Lisa said, I do have that same 10 to 15 pounds dropped and then gaining it. I don't have diabetes, but in addition, you have an addiction to sugar. See, I don't. I'm fortunate for that. How can I discuss and look at that first medicine the doctor mentioned? Are you talking about Ozempic? Or most likely. So Lisa, if you're still on, you're in the same age range as I am. I would highly recommend that you call her. I have a feeling you're going to get a lot of phone calls now because I've admitted this.
No, right. Well, after Oprah, we've really ramped back up on weight.
It's Monica.
Thank you, Oprah. Thank you, Monica. We have operators standing by. Yes.
Have you had a lot of calls?
We have. Yeah. We're doing probably 7 or 8 weight loss consults a day right now. But kind of back to my story, and I apologize if you've heard this before, but I weighed 211 pounds. I could eat everything not nailed down and weigh 211 pounds. I could starve myself for days, not drink soda, and weigh 208 pounds. It was just like the same, like little bitty. And then I started taking this medication right when it got FDA approved. So back in 2021. And it was just, 1 or 2 pounds a week, just consistently, week after week. I never even hit the maximum dose. I only hit about kind of the halfway mark as far as needing the medication. And then once I, hit I mean, you know, I hit my target weight very quickly, you know, and I'm like, if I could get to 175, that's what I was, you know, when I got pregnant. Okay, if I could get to 165, you know, because I mean, a healthy weight for my size was, you know, between 130 and 150. And, you know, I was considerably above that.
Right.
I actually got down lower than probably what I needed to. And that was when, I mean, you know, I had gone off the medication, but I was still losing weight just because I had changed my dietary habits. And quit taking the medication. And like I said, haven't put that weight back on. But, you know, we are born with a certain amount of, you know, of beta cells in our pancreas that is what produces insulin. When we have a sugar addiction, when we're really working out those beta cells, just like you're working out your muscles, you burn through them. I mean, and this is something that is going to, in addition to feeling fuller faster, you know, it's also going to decrease the breakdown of sugar on the liver side of things, and it's going to increase insulin production, increase those beta cells. So you're basically just putting those body systems back to the way they were when you were younger. And then you make those lifestyle changes and you don't have to worry about burning through those. But in addition to this weight loss, and you know, you were talking about these other health benefits, I have patients that come to me for this medication because the sugar cravings very much go away. I used to have a margarita every now and again, and now just even like the thought of it, because the sweetness, I'm like, that's good. I'll take an iced tea or a water, you know. And then, you know, so I have patients that come to me because it also makes you not want to really drink alcohol. It's not that it makes you sick. You don't really have any kind of inkling for it. They take it because they don't want to drink. They know that they're drinking an unhealthy amount, and this just kind of cuts that desire. My triglycerides, my cholesterol were never high enough to take medication, but I was kind of closing in on that number. Now they're well below the number, which, I mean, you know, cholesterol medications are great. They're not great for your liver,
right?
You know, so there's, you know, there's always going to be some kind of side effect to taking a medication.
Sure.
I have patients that, you know, they're like, is there any reason that my knees feel better, that my hips feel better? And we're talking, exactly. We're talking patients that were like on the brink, like talking to orthopedic surgeons to get total knee replacements, to get total hip replacements. And now they don't need them anymore. Now their knees don't hurt, and they've lost some weight, you know, which is going to help your joints,
sure,
but not enough to justify, you know, I could barely get out of bed of a morning, and now I don't really feel like I need to have this surgery any longer. So, and then to address your point, I really think eventually this medication is going to keep a lot of those pre-diabetic patients from tipping over to the diabetes side of things. So, you know, so why not? You can do, you know, for those who still feel like this is cheating, do you ever take an elevator? Because I'm sure there's stairs somewhere, you know, are you cheating? You know, it's just a tool in the toolbox to just getting healthier. So.
And I do want to say, as a trainer, I will come out and say, I do not want any of you to say, oh, well, I'm going to call, I'm going to go to her, and I'm going to drop the weight. I'm not going to eat healthy. She's not going to let you, by the way. That's the thing that I love about our partnership is she's not going to have somebody that's watching me and she'll say, hey, Monica, so-and-so from your show came in and they just wanted to do this. And we did a consult with them and they were like, nope, I'm not going to work out and I'm not going to eat healthy. Then she's going to say no. And I'm going to say no to you as well, because this is a great handoff. They're doing this and then, hey, Monica, they're looking to train. I think the thing that gets exciting is you finally are excited about where you are in your own skin. You love, I hope, the person that you are becoming, and you want to work out. You want to make the smart choices, everything that we were hoping you were already doing, but it's not all about them being lazy and having a willpower issue. That I can't say that enough. That really came out loud and clear in that special. So Oprah, by the way, I thank you. I know there's still a ton. I've seen the articles that have come out since she's done the special going, oh, I can't believe now you got Oprah jumping on. I'm like, she's never, ever going to win this. For the people who want to be haters, they're always going to hate.
I think so. And it's amazing. I think a lot of the piece to that is education.
Yep.
My husband and I talk about this. So we have two different family doctors. When I went to my family doctor, you know, for my annual checkup, he's like, oh, let's talk about, you know, at the time, I think it was 45 pounds down. You know, he was like, how did you do it? And I told him, and you know, he was like, oh my gosh, this is great. This is when, you know, the medicine was hard to come by and things like that. And he was like, I mean, if you can get this, I'll start sending people to you. My husband went to his family doctor and he's like, okay, let's talk about this 30-pound weight loss. And he told him, and he was like, you have no business taking that medication. We don't even know what it's going to do to you. That's dangerous. You just need to put the fork down. Well, my husband doesn't, I mean, he's 6'4". He's a big guy anyway, but he doesn't just eat in excess and just sit around and eat just trash food all the time. And he's always moving. I mean, always moving. And he had put on this, had the muffin top and, and despite everything. And, we get older and we carry weight differently, but that centralized obesity, I can tell you, having an enlarged heart, having congestive heart failure, having really high triglycerides, that's just as bad for you or worse for you than what this medication is going to be. So.
Well, and the thing is, and there are so many things that we've got so many shows we'll be able to do from this. People have no problem finding something that they see on a late night infomercial that you don't know what's in it. And then you just buy the bottle, you put it into your body. How do you know what the long-term effects are on that? You don't question other things, but suddenly you're shaming people. I'm not going to shame them at all. I will have clients and I will say, you might want to talk with Sara and get on this because it's going to help you with what we're doing together. It really is a collaborative effort. And I know that there are people in the fitness industry that have come out and have shamed. Enough of the shame. We're definitely going to do the 100 Days to Freedom from Shame today. I'm not going to give you a choice. We're going to do that one. But I want to answer some of your questions. I do want to take a quick break, our final break here, and then we'll get back to some comments and questions. Do you have to rush off, by the way?
No, okay? I'm good. Yeah.
Let me see what you all are saying. This is really eye-opening for a lot of you, and she's already getting a lot of calls. I want to tell you, men and women both, if you are stuck and you have tried everything, or you're just a little frustrated with how you're feeling, I want to take the strain off of our healthcare system. The obesity problem has been a problem the entire time I've been a trainer, and I've been trying to get those healthcare costs down. Get all the things that you've had to do up to this point. Now we have an idea for you to be able to bring some of that down. Instead of getting on to all the medications that may be in your future, maybe you can avert that. That's what I want you to look at. We'll have more with Dr. Sara Franco when we return. InVita Health and Wellness, where you can feel your best both inside and out. InVita isn't your typical med spa. They're a multi-specialty medical spa and wellness center serving St. Louis and its surrounding areas. They have ketamine for mental health and pain, IV therapy, medical weight loss, and aesthetics treatments. As board-certified anesthesia providers, InVita can ensure that their advanced treatments are provided safely with minimal to no pain. So let InVita take care of you. Call 314-394-0950 to book an appointment or online InVitaHealthAndWellness.com. That's right. And remember that number. That's what you want to call to find out about this. Again, don't expect to just go in and say, okay, I can do whatever. I don't have to do anything. I'm just going to take this. No, you're going to go in and you're going to have a consultation with Sara and you're going to fall in love with her, as all of you have been doing. I love all the people that have gone to you over the last year you've been with me and they're like, we really love her. And I'm like, duh. They're like, well, we love her on the show, but we really love her in person. I know. So to your questions, Lisa said, my mom and sister were obese before they died. I follow macros and work out. It's the consistency once I reach my goal. And she's been dealing with the same 10 to 15 pounds. So Lisa, 314-394-0950. Call today and then set up your consultation. Wondering about Kelly Clarkson. Now see, with Kelly Clarkson, a lot of that has been saying that she finally got the aha moment. That she said that she finally listened to her doctor and that she's been doing proper exercise and eating. She has not yet. And I don't know if she's feeling like she's going to be shamed, but she has not said, unless you've heard, she has not said that she is on it. Adele did. Mm-hmm. Adele took it. Sharon Osbourne, and then Oprah, of course. She said, I'm wondering about the Kelly Clarkson and Dr. Oz weight loss gummies. She's asked this before. I don't know. Have you seen this?
I have not.
She said, I saw this ad for weight loss from Shark Tank. I never clicked or watched the end of the video because I didn't want to compromise my inbox. I don't know what you're talking about, and actually, nor has she. And then I think Dr. Willie was asked also, whatever these gummies are. I think it's really clickbait, trying to get you to click on something that has no background to it. So Terry, no, don't do that. Do this. I would highly recommend this. Good morning. Thank you, Monica and Dr. Franco. I have diabetes. I cannot get Mounjaro. Please do not body shame. It hurts. Yeah, no kidding. So is the Mounjaro the one that they're having a hard time getting right now?
It's actually both of them.
Oh, it's both.
Ozempic and Mounjaro are still, and that is how compounding pharmacies are able to make it. So if a drug is on the national shortage list, and there's a lot of drugs that are out there, and anesthesia that we use, ketamine in particular is one. Propofol for a little while was one, but these compounding pharmacies are able to compound it. So that's how we get the medication.
Okay, so yes, if you want to give Ann, if you want to give Dr. Franco a call, she can help you out with that. Somebody just said, thank you. I've been fearful to try. Until I just mentioned that. Well, then I'm glad if that was what needed to be done today. My mother was diabetic on insulin and my sister was borderline. Again, if you have that in your genes, right, it's like looking at what is coming for your future possibly.
Right.
So Lisa, Ann, I want you to give her a call. How long do you have to stay with that monthly cost?
So it's until you reach your goal. So, I mean, and that's what I tell patients, if you come in and you have 10 pounds to lose, then, if we're figuring a pound and a half, then probably 2 months, maybe 3 months. It really depends on the work that you're putting in as well. I mean, I'm not going to lie, it is magical. It will, you will lose the weight without doing much of anything. But if you want to keep the weight off and you want to make those lifestyle changes and it become a habit for you, then you have to make those changes as well. If not, you're just, and that's what we do in the consult. What are your plans? What are you planning on doing? What are you doing now? And if they're like, I don't have time to work out. I don't like to drink water. I had a patient the other day. I was like, how much protein are you eating? And she said, I don't like chicken. I'm like, well, there's other
Isn't
things.
that funny?
The patients that come in and they get discouraged, I tell them, we went through this in the consult. If you're not ready to make these changes, then please don't even waste your money, because this is a financial commitment.
Yes.
And everything else. But if you think about how much are you spending at Starbucks, how much are you spending on your copays for your blood pressure and your cholesterol medication every month, it may just take a couple months of this and then just some internal changes, and you may not have to take those medications anymore.
It's a mindset shift. There are so many people, I hear it, I'm sure you hear it. I hear it from a trainer standpoint. Oh, I don't know, I can't afford that. I'm like, can you afford to not be around? And they're like, what do you mean? Well, I don't know. You're going out with friends and you're eating, you're going to Starbucks. We always use that one, right? We all use that in this field. And they're like, well, yeah. So go ahead and look at what you do in a day's time, in a week's time. Look at all that, cut that out, and then you can afford to take your health back.
Right.
Because I love the giving up mentality of your health, but you're okay with going out with friends and eating and drinking excess. You don't look at that though, because it's become a part of your life, and that is not a shame. That's a reality check for all of you.
And look at grocery bills too.
Don't even go there.
And not making fun of it, but I had a patient that came in, and at first I was just like, why are you here? Because everything I said, I felt like she kind of wanted to argue with me, but I think it was just she was having that internal struggle with, should I be doing this? Is that healthy? She was an older woman, but I told her, I was like, you're going to get from, I did my plate analogy, and she was like, so basically you want me to starve myself? And I said, no, I never said that, but just keep in mind, when we go out to eat as Americans, unfortunately, when we go out to eat and you get a salmon steak this big on your plate, and now you can only eat this much of it, that's a serving of salmon.
Yep.
You have 3 servings of salmon and 3 servings of mashed potatoes and 3 servings of green beans on your plate. If you go to just eating 1 serving of each of those, it's enough to nourish your body, but you're not overeating. And that starts to become your norm. Now when I look at plates of food, I'm like, how did I ever eat all of that? And I don't put all of that on my plate. But this, I think another thing that makes this very successful for patients is it's real life. I didn't never want to eat a piece of bread again, never eat a piece of cake again, never eat a cookie again. But now, like I said, I don't eat the whole entire roll of cookies anymore. So it's not that diet of exclusion where you never get to eat those foods anymore. I tried keto and it was successful, but then the first piece of bread or the first plate of spaghetti that I ate, the weight, I put 5 pounds back on again. So this is just something that it's teaching you better habits. It's teaching you portion control and things like that. Whether it's chemically or just, becomes a second nature to you. And those are all things that you can carry on and keep the weight off.
I do really think, she used the word kind of a miracle. It from a trainer standpoint, it really does allow those that I know that are on it to really finally get the aha of what we've been trying to teach for so long. It is, this is what you've been saying to me. Yes, and if that gave you clarity, then I think it's like Bradley Cooper in the movie Fearless. Right. If you've seen that movie, which I love, and they swear that he's still on this pill that he had, and he's like, I've been off it for a year. I just finally learned, right? And now I'm using it on my own. I'm hoping it's the same thing that works for all of you, but you have to listen to what is proper for you to be doing with it. And I will say, I think, this is just my own belief, that you will actually drop more if you are eating properly and if you are working out like you're supposed to. And I think all those muscles that you're looking for are going to come popping out because you're doing what you're supposed to do. I'm hoping it gives you the high as much as it teaches you proper ways of eating and hydrating yourself. Terry said, what is the name of the medication Sara and Monica are doing again for weight loss? I missed hearing the name. Semaglutide.
Semaglutide.
Okay, so ask her about that. I've been on semaglutide for 7 months. I also had my hormones tested and shocked to find how low my testosterone was. It's amazing the stigma around women needing testosterone. It's done wonders for me. That was another thing we've talked about in the past. Yes, having all the labs done so you know what your progesterone, your estrogen, your testosterone, your vitamin D, your vitamin B12, your A1C, all those things they can do for you. So if you haven't had that done yet, I don't know how many times we need to be saying it, you need to have your labs done. Lisa said, I weighed over 220 pounds, then dropped 40 to 60 pounds on my own, unhealthy. Then I learned macros and healthy habits, dropped another 20 to 30, and I dropped 77 inches. Well, congratulations to you all around my body. I strength train 4 to 5 days a week in healthy habits and water and sleep. Sleep is important. You don't get enough sleep, and watch what happens when you start to sleep better, that suddenly all that little stubborn weight, you're like, oh, what happened? Well, you're sleeping. The body needs that. Richard said, I lost 100 pounds, never gave up. Ice cream. I eat ice cream every day. Okay. Now I only have 2 scoops instead of 5 scoops. I don't feel like you have to give up everything to lose weight. It's all about balance. You know, I love my balance. Are you eating protein ice cream?
Yeah. Chicken ice cream.
Can you make that? Yes, chicken ice cream. Just joining the conversation, what is the medication you're talking about? Sounds like what I need. Semaglutide. Semaglutide. But you have both, right?
We have tirzepatide as well.
Okay.
Yes.
So 314-394-0950, Michelle and everyone else that's on live that will hear this later, they have both, but they'll do a consultation. There you go. InVitaHealthAndWellness.com. They'll do a consultation for you to find out which you need. What are the first steps to take to see if you qualify for semaglutide? If I come to you for a consult, do you test hormones or should I ask the doctor? What lab should I ask for to test the levels?
So, I mean, we're able to. We draw labs in-house if you want to cash pay for those, or I'm happy to write a rec for those as well, or you can go to your family practice doctor to get that.
Right. She wrote a rec for me and for Jim so that we took those. If you want your insurance to pay for your labs, then she'll take it from there. You do pay out of pocket, though, for the semaglutide, if that's what you're asking. You do pay. But again, what are you spending your money on that you could let go of so that you could do this properly? I have family genetics with cholesterol, doing everything I could. Lipid specialist put me on lowest doses of cholesterol medicine and put me in healthy level for the first time. I really don't want to go on cholesterol medicine with all the possible effects, yet it was necessary. How would this medicine impact me with the cholesterol medicine?
So it is going to lower, if you have hereditary cholesterol issues, then there's always going to just be the chance that you have to take that medication. But it's in my genetics as well to have high cholesterol. That was why, my total cholesterol was in the 180s, 190s. So, 200 and above is generally when they start to consider putting you on cholesterol medication. But this has lowered me down into the 130s. So, so I think it will definitely help. I can't guarantee that it's going to keep you off of cholesterol medication, but it will definitely help.
All right, again, I think there's a lot of you that should at least go in for a consultation, see if this is right for you. If you've been stuck, if you're frustrated, if you're not in a good place, trust me, if you are overweight, you're not in a good headspace. I know that. That's why we came up with the Transformation Journey program and the Triangle of Life a long time ago, because I know that is where you're struggling. Soulfully, you're shaming yourself, the body, the world is shaming you. That's what all came out of that special. Richard, you're so funny. He just said bacon ice cream.
Bacon ice cream. Okay, all right.
Sweet. Okay. So let me grab it. I think it's the yellow one. Yes, 100 Days to Freedom from Shame. And really it all came out of that special of stopping the shame game, the weight loss revolution, and really stopping the strain on our healthcare system. I mean, don't you want that? Why put everybody on diabetes medication, cholesterol medication, you name it. I mean, there are so many people that when they start their day in the morning, they have so many pills. How about we release that amount of pills? We didn't say, so you mentioned some people, depending on the body, some people might feel dizzy, some people might throw up, some people might have diarrhea or constipation. It depends on the body. But if that did happen to them, would you lower the dose or what would happen?
So, we definitely wouldn't go up on the dose.
Yes.
I try to get to root cause. So, and there's medications that you can take for nausea, but, those also have side effects as well. So, I tell them, it comes the nausea will come from one of two things: eating too much, eating too little. So eating too little, that's the hypoglycemia that can cause the dizziness, the fatigue, hair loss, all those other kind of things that you hear going along with this medication. Eating too much, you have to keep in mind that this peptide that we're basically, and this medication is amplifying a peptide that we already have in our body. So it's not really introducing this new chemical per se. We're just amplifying a body's natural response. So when food moves from the stomach to the small intestines, this peptide goes up to the brain and it says, hey, you're full, stop eating. We eat so fast that we don't give this peptide a chance to work. That's why you get finished eating and you're like, oh, I wish I would have stopped like 2 chicken tenders ago, So you're amplifying this response. So if you have this amplified response, hey, you're full, stop eating. Hey, you're full, stop eating. Hey, you're too full, now you need to throw up. And then you'll get sick. Okay. So really listening to the cues of your body, eating slowly, incorporating water into that as well to kind of help keep things moving, but listening to those cues. And when you're full, not being like, oh, I don't want to leave the rest of this burger here. I don't want to leave the rest of these fries here. Just stop eating. You've eaten your full, and that's all you really need.
And so those are the side effects that we were hearing about. Is there any strain on the pancreas?
No, there's not a strain on the pancreas. Now, if you're type 1 diabetic, that means that you don't produce insulin at all. That is a contraindication to this medication. Okay. But other than type 1 diabetes, a condition called MENS neoplasm, multiple endoplastic neoplasm, type 2, which is multiple tumors in the body, you would know right away if you had it, as well as a personal history or family history of medullary thyroid cancer. Now, not hypothyroidism or hyperthyroidism, but medullary thyroid cancer. And I can say, and the reason behind that, just a little background, is the receptor, the THR1 receptor, when they do these studies, they generally will use rats, and the rats have the same receptor that we do. When they expose them to very high levels of this medication, some of those rats develop medullary thyroid cancer. So in theory, a human could also develop medullary thyroid cancer if they were predisposed to it. But it hasn't been reproduced in humans. Okay. So I have had now 4 patients that have came in that had family histories of cancer. I sent them to an endocrinologist and said, if you get the green light from your endocrinologist, then we are absolutely happy to treat you. All 4 of those patients have been sent back with just go ahead and take it. The benefits definitely outweigh the risk. Yes. So other than that, I mean, they're even using this medication in children. Ozempic or semaglutide, not tirzepatide yet, but it's approved all the way down to the age of 5.
Wow, really?
So, and we have a couple pediatric patients that are taking it. But, if you grow up morbidly obese, that's a very, very difficult cycle to break. And it wreaks havoc on the body. So.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm addressing all ages, but we really need to get a handle on what is happening with our children. I remember talking about this 15 years ago, and we just started to see the problems with childhood obesity, and now it has just really gotten out of hand. So multiple levels of their health and the bullying and shame that go into all the things that they're dealing with. So again, 314-394-0950, InVitaHealthAndWellness.com. Dr. Sara Franco and the staff. I'm very interested to see if you go in for a consultation and how your life changes. There's the website for you. Okay, so day 19 of 100 Days to Freedom from Shame from our friend Stephen Arterburn. This one's day 19 is called Daily. His mercies begin afresh each morning. It's impossible to read the Bible without noticing that the life of faith is intended to be a daily proposition. In the wilderness, for example, the Israelites were promised manna, but not in weekly or monthly shipments. They were told it would come to them every day. When Jesus gave us the model prayer, he didn't ask for supplies to sock away for a rainy day. He simply asked for daily bread. And in our verse for today, which is one of the most encouraging in the entire Bible, we're told that God's mercies begin fresh every morning. People who are suffering from shame tend to think in increments of time that are far too large. Right now, you might be looking back and reflecting on the things you did that got you into trouble. Even though there's nothing you can do to change your choices, you may be allowing them to eat at you. Or you might be looking ahead, trying to imagine how your life will be different now that you've sinned so grievously. How will your actions affect your relationships or your reputation or your future? God would encourage you to release the past, quit worrying about the future, and just focus one day at a time. You've probably seen promotional giveaways that stipulate you must be present to win. Well, that's a good motto for our lives. You've got to be present here, now, today, to gain the blessing God has prepared for you. Don't let the ghost of yesterday or the worries about tomorrow steal your blessing. Max Lucado said, "Doesn't every day deserve a chance to be a good day?" Yes, I like that one, Max. Today's prayer: Jesus, I feel the angst of yesterday and tomorrow pulling at me, trying to keep me from focusing on today. God, give me the strength to resist the distractions and simply enjoy my time with you here right now. Yep, I've been saying that for years. It's one of my favorite things when I became a life coach. It was, the past is something to learn from. The future, well, we'll be blessed if we are lucky enough to get there. So why not focus right here, right now on today and making it the best you possibly can? Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
As always, Mondays are Medical Mondays. Ask the doctor. So come armed with your questions. If you can't be on live, then be sure to give us those questions early. You can send them to me, info@TheRealMonicaAdams.com, and I'll be sure to get them. And actually, if there's a particular topic we haven't discussed yet, please let us know for that as well. We try to be as really timely and trending. Since that Oprah special just happened, we thought that would be a perfect one to bring about. And there's still a lot of you that had not heard of it, and maybe this is right for you. All right, thank you so much again for all your blessings. Tomorrow, by the way, we're going to talk about the circus. How many kids wanted to run away to the circus? Circus Harmony and the incredible things they do, and the kids and what they're able to place them, where they're able to place them. There are 2 fundraisers coming up with the Fountain on Locust. So we're going to be having representatives from both of those coming in with us tomorrow. So be sure to tune in for that. Thank you so much. Enjoy the day today. And remember, to every person that you run into, please be kind. God bless you all.